Hey everybody, I talked to you a few minutes ago, but guess what? I ran into CJ Renner, one of the people who has a film in tonight's XR event, and I want to talk to CJ just a little bit about making the film and what people can see here. So this is the first XR event for the Twin Cities Film Fest. How do you feel in general about we're doing this?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's totally new ground. Making this film was new ground for us. Coming to this event here is new. I mean, it's a totally different kind of experience because, from what I gather here, like, you'll actually be able to sit near the people who are viewing the film, and because it's such an individualized experience, you can talk to them. You know, like when you go to a standard film screening, which I love, it's kind of everybody sees it. There's maybe a little Q&A at the end, and then everybody files out. And you might get to talk to 3 or 4 friends and whatever. But this is, because it's kind of a rolling screening, you get to chat with everybody and get their reactions and whatnot. So that makes me extra excited for the evening.
As I said at the beginning, there's 10 of these, and again, some people's ideas might be, you know, when you go to a theater and you see 3D glasses, they have this idea that, oh, we're going to all sit together and watch something together. That's not necessarily the way it works, but the reality of it is it's such an incredible individual experience. So you've always pushed the envelope. You know that. We've talked about this for over the years. You try new things, you do different things, so it doesn't surprise us that you're one of the first Minnesotans to do this. What made you decide to make Soldier? Tell us a little bit about Soldier and what we can expect.
Yeah. So the medium was interesting to me just as, you know, a young nerd growing up in the 80s. I've always been waiting for VR to like get big and whatever, and so I've kept an eye on it the whole time. And so I've been interested in making a film using that technology, and the kind of prosumer level of that technology is actually very affordable, which is so surprising. And so I feel a little bit like, you know, a kid that found a video camera at the pawn shop and is just like pointing it around. You know, it's like learning the new technology is a fun but playful and adventurous kind of thing, which is really fun to do. It very quickly I realized it takes a certain kind of writing to make it happen, because the way we shot this one, it's sort of a one-room, essentially single take thing. And you know, when you watch like 1917 or other films that do that kind of thing, Locke, you don't technically it looks really amazing, but it's actually the writing that is really difficult. Like, how do you keep things interesting for that period of time, not have 20-second lulls or whatever? And so we worked with Andy Fromke. He already had a short story that kind of worked that way. And we're like, okay, now how do we take and make that into a VR experience? And maybe no surprise, like the blocking becomes extremely important. Because the viewer is choosing what to look at. And, you know, in a standard film, the director is really just directing attention. You know, it's like do we have attention on this person's face? Do we have it on the sunset? Whatever.
Do you have a close-up of the keys in the lock?
Exactly. And then we know that key is important when we see that close-up. Now, for this film specifically, we had things like that we wanted to highlight, and one of the ways to do that is to bring it close to camera. Another way to do that is through sound. Another way to do that is have a character talk about it, you know. And so this film was a way for us to kind of experiment with all those different tools.
Did you end up having to buy equipment, or where do you find the equipment?
Yeah, so we have a friend in town who's just as geeky about VR equipment as I am, and so he had the camera that we used to shoot, which, I mean, you can get a pretty darn decent camera for like $300 or $400, which is shocking. I mean, you watch a VR movie and you're like, oh my God, this would take $1 million to film this or whatever. And then there's some very specific microphones that you can use that'll help you be able to direct, you know, as you move your head. And so all that stuff was inexpensive, and a lot of it our friends had. What does require a little more work is going in later and like tweaking that audio, and there's a little bit of a hurdle in terms of like how do you export this file, and your computer has to be just a little bit beefier to handle the visual files or whatever. But it's nothing that's out of reach for most filmmakers.
Does this make you want to do more?
For sure, yeah, that's a great question, because really when we set out to make this short, that was our biggest question. Is like, let's do something and figure out, is this a place we want to explore further, or is this like a fun experiment and now we're kind of done with it? And so we filmed it with that feeling in mind, like, let's be playful, let's be, and you know, the story is heartfelt, but you can still be experimental with what you're doing behind the camera. But we're definitely excited after we made this. Like, okay, we're already feeling excited about the tools that we're learning that you have, because there's those restrictions, you know, about attention stuff, but there's also amazing things that you can do in terms of, you know, ping-ponging somebody's attention, where, you know, there's somebody over here that's demanding your attention, there's an object down here that's demanding your attention, and you have to do this, and it becomes a very personal experience when you're doing that. So.
Well, my last question is this, because I know full well that you're headstrong into just getting done shooting a film, probably shooting another. So this isn't going to take over your other film work, I'm assuming.
Right. I am always susceptible to, I mean, I love getting mixed up in projects or whatever. But part of the really good news, and not to shamelessly plug Twin Cities Film Fest, but part of the great news about these kinds of experiences is, through making this film, we've already found some people who are really excited about this technology and are excited about bringing something even a little bigger in scope to life. And so it seems like I'll have time to do kind of the more standard filmmaking that I do, but have those other people who are, okay, you know, what kind of camera might we need for this, and other sort of standard producerial type things. And so connecting with those people at events like this, and just like literally at Twin Cities Film Fest events in the last week, we're already starting to, I mean, we were bowling yesterday with some of them, starting to be like, okay, you know, what would this look like if we wanted to make more of a 30-minute type thing? And so I'm always excited when I can sort of delegate some of that stuff and then come back in later and see what people have done.
Well, and you know, 2 heads are better than 1. 5 heads are better than 1 if you got the right people in the room. That's how you move things forward. Your excitement for this only is equal to mine, and I hope everyone else's. So you weren't afraid to jump in to make this movie, and I hope our viewers out there aren't afraid to give this a try. It's not painful, it's interesting, and it's something most people have never experienced before.
It is a blast, and there's just something about putting on that VR headset. If you've never done it, I mean, it is amazing. You know, I mean, this is getting nerdy, but the lag is like gone on those things. You know, it just really feels like you're in there, and I personally really get excited about that. So,
thank you so much. We're excited to have you tonight, and hang around. Then here's how you turn it off.